This conference will now be recorded.
Hey Scott, can you say hello, please?
I'm here.
Here's something. See, they started working
Hang on
on
a
the road.
second.
Done already.
Here you go. Say hello again.
Started yesterday and we're done yesterday.
I saw him yesterday, just.
It's not you, it's us. I'm trying to fix our speaker.
Won't take long to lay down 60,000, does it?
Needed to be done.
Scott.
Yes. I can hear you guys just fine. Can you hear me?
I can see your lips moving, but
Yeah, I can see you.
giving you what I want.
Is he muted?
No, he's on the.
No, I should be on.
Through any of the speakers.
Were you trying to come by my house last night?
No?
5:30? No. All the. All were closed. I thought that would be later.
Okay, try talking now.
Good. Okay. Start down there.
Yeah, I just pulled in the drive. Yep.
Yeah, oh, the other one doesn't. No, it's trying to play somewhere. Okay, Scott, start talking.
Can you hear me, Andrea?
Now we do.
There you go.
No.
I got it.
You just fine? Okay.
Thank you.
I restarted the computer recently.
Been on here for over a year.
Oh, yeah,
I can
yeah,
use that.
because we have the septic in,
No, are we here?
Yes, we are.
You're recording on septic, so.
7:32.
It is 7:30. We have a quorum. I will call the meeting to order. We will start with the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Next item is to approve the agenda. Are there any additions, corrections, deletions to the agenda?
Have moved to approve the agenda.
Motion has been made to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second that.
Motion has been made and second to approve the agenda. Any further discussion?
Are we gonna discuss anything from the annual meeting?
Well, just that motions are not binding pertaining to the increase.
Did you want that on here?
I just might bring it up at supervisor report. So. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the agenda as printed, say aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion is carried. Next item is to approve the minutes of the June 15th meeting.
I would move that motion to approve the minutes from June 15th.
Motion been made to approve the June 15th meeting minutes as printed. Is there a second to that motion? Is there a second?
Second that.
Mr. Wilhelm will second the motion. Is there any further discussion? Motion has been made and seconded to approve the minutes of the June 15th meeting. If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion carried. We will move to open forum.
I've never done this before, so.
Oh, go ahead.
My name is Rob Winter. I live at 1079 55th Street. My concern today is property at 10082 55th Street. About a month and a half ago, they moved in a shed and it's on the right of way. It's right on the right of way. And then the accumulation of junk and garbage that's in back there too. They got boats, snowmobiles, back of wood and just junk back there, cars. This is a picture of what was back there, but it's added on a lot since then. It's the one with the
Highlighted red.
yeah, that one here.
And
This is what it used to look like. This is, I think this is like probably 16 or something like that. You can see his field from 55th Street. Now you can't see nothing. And they have 6 vehicles that's parked there too. So, and that's the ones that are running. I don't know how many's in back of there. But they also have a trailer. And I talked to somebody else about that. I don't know if I talked to you about it.
Yeah, you talked to me down at the auction.
Yeah.
2 semi-trailers or was it?
Yeah, well, it's a beer trailer,
Okay.
which is probably about a 32 footer.
Yep.
And you said it's probably okay because they have wheels, which I'm okay with that. Now you look at it, on the north side of it, they have at least a 10 by 10 addition onto it. On the other side, they have 2 additions to it, which is about 10 feet wide by the width of, or the length of the trailer, plus another one next to that. And it's all in corrugated steel, which according to the township or the ordinance, they can't have corrugated steel. Now, I just went by there today on the way over here. They had a stack of 2-inch foam board. What are they gonna use that for? Their insulation in there? Is somebody living in there? On the one side, it's got regular house windows on the one side. Now, if they're using, there's no heat other than maybe they have an extension cord. They have lights in there, extension cord, electric heat. That's a safety hazard right there. That sets on fire with all that junk. It's gonna just keep burning that way. And then the abandoned house next to them, they've been mowing back there. I don't know why anybody would mow property that's not yours, but other than they had bear in their tree last year, and I don't know if they're living in an abandoned house or what, but I've talked to the assessor, I talked to the sheriff, now I've talked to Dan, I've talked to John a little bit, but I think it's something the township's got to take care of. It's becoming a safety issue. And not only that, it's gonna bring down property values on that too. And that shed they just moved in should not be in the right of way. And that trailer, if it's gonna be, now it's a permanent structure with those add-ons on there, it's gotta have a concrete foundation or, which it doesn't have.
The trailer, to just clarify for everybody, it's a semi-trailer, beer trailer.
It's a beer trailer, like if they're hauling beers.
It's a shipping container.
Okay.
It's shipping containers put together that they welded.
sea containers, so it's dropped on the ground, no tires under it, because it doesn't our
Yeah, they
current
dropped
ordinance
sea,
only say you're allowed one sea container in
they
there?
dropped sea containers there, welded them together, added windows, added a door, added a porch. They just continuously add on to it.
Do we have anything in our ordinance with this new thing of tiny houses?
Mr. Chair?
Yes, Mr. Richards.
Yes, no, we don't have anything like that. Buildings need, if they're used for dwelling purposes, have to have a foundation. And it sounds like this has probably been done without a building permit. Doug Dahl had just mentioned this one to me about a week ago, and I'll probably be out early next week, and we'll take some pictures and start some enforcement on that.
It's also in, I don't know if you guys remember, probably about 6 months ago, I came about Oak Street. We discussed it. It was brought up that it's public access. This is all built in that public access, which everyone has a right to, is what I was told by you guys, that you can't.
It's never.
Oak Street. Oak Street to the south.
This is.
It goes to the north too. Yes.
It was never put onto our highway map.
That is county.
No, it was never put on. It's because you guys said that it's not a real street until, if we wanted to make it a real street, we would have to bring it up to your guys' street ordinance. And then you come out and evaluate it and assess if you were gonna make it a real street. But you said because, I might be wording this wrong, there's a document that the lawyer zoning wrote up together saying it's a public access, anyone can use it. And my issue was my neighbor behind me, I didn't want her driving on it, but said that I can't say who can go on it unless I'm the one maintaining it up the street ordinance.
No, you said something about structure right here on the ordinance. It says no structure shall be corrugated steel. That, those two on this, on the south side of the trailer, all corrugated steel.
We also have an ordinance against three unlicensed vehicles. Am I correct in saying that, Mr. Richards?
I'll have to take a look at that one. Yes, I believe we do have a provision, not in the zoning, but other provision related to unlicensed vehicles. But I'll look at that and review this one. Could I get the address again? It would cut out when I was, when you said the address.
10082 55th Street.
Okay, thank you.
There's something else I'm gonna say too on that. I can make more copies. I think Doug's got some copies too there, some different ones, but.
In support of you.
But another thing too is I know they're not supposed to be working anything after 9 o'clock. When the sun's down, headlights come on and they're doing all kinds of stuff. They re-roof their house with their headlamps on. They put on storm doors with the headlamps on. But during the day, the only time they're out is when they're mowing. Or maybe fix a car. One guy will be out fixing a car and that's it. You know, and there's at least 6 people living there, not 7. But it's just.
We have ordinances that we think can control this type of thing, but we have a very poor history with the sheriff's department in helping us enforce our ordinances.
Yeah, and I talked to the sheriff's department and he just kind of, well, it sounds like zoning or it sounds like the township or, you know, but I did make a report with him on last week and also with the assessor's office.
We will certainly send them a letter, and beyond that, we can try to put any kind of pressure on them. Maybe it will go to their lender.
Yeah, so I know the owner doesn't live there. It's a niece that lives there. And there's 3 years of taxes that haven't been paid, 2010, 11, and 12. All the other taxes are up to date, but the 10, 11, and 12 aren't paid. I found that on Wax County website. on the tax part of it, so. And then one year it was who owns the property paid half the taxes. And then I think it was a niece paid half of the other half, and then somebody else paid, I'm sure somebody's living there paid the other half of that half.
Our next step will be Mr. Richards will send them notice and we will see what we can get done.
Okay,
Thank you.
thank you.
Any more open forum?
Last week, there was an article that came out in the Town and Shopper from a former chairman here about the money that we are spending in legal fees. I would like to address that because I think we can address some of that ourselves. A lot of the legal fees are being incurred by that individual that this township is accruing, just so that's on the record. Would anybody here disagree with that? Yes, we've got legal fees, but we've also had a housing development come in. That takes work. We've also had streets get paved. That took work. We had to have our ducks in a row. Some of the other ways I think we can curb some of these or start delegating some of this planning to the county. We're not planning experts here. Every other township in the county goes through the county. I don't know if it's extra on our part to do it, but at least we can make sure our T's are crossed and our I's are dotted. The other thing is also with the conditional use permits that we're issuing to all businesses who wish to come forward. To be honest, I think we should give them a 5-year moratorium before we issue that. The only reason I got a conditional use permit was because last year, the same individual complained that I was running an illegal business out of my farm. Fast forward, literally 1 calendar year, I've got 2 skid loaders left. 3 excavators are sold. Materials got too expensive. Nobody's doing any work and machinery is bringing a premium. Equipment's leaving. And at what cost to the township, it cost us $1,200. I paid 200 some. We're at $1,000 loss because I took a gamble. I don't think that's fair to the township. And I would honestly suggest if we start getting businesses want to come in and do it, let's give them a moratorium. Let's give them some breathing room. Let's see if it is going to work. See if it does affect our township traffic. Most of these businesses aren't going to affect our traffic. I'm sorry. They're going to go to the industrial park.
As far as your comment with switching to Mille Lacs County for the zoning, I've actually called up there and talked to them. It's all or none. We can't delegate certain parts of it. It's all or none. I too share the same feeling with you that I question a lot of this. I don't know if our county share of our taxes would go up or not, but I definitely question whether we would not be saving our township residents money by switching to Mille Lacs County to handle that. It's actually 2 townships in Mille Lacs County, us and Greenbush, that handle our own zoning. All other townships have Mille Lacs County handle their zoning. So I share your same concerns. I've expressed them in our other meetings. To your comment about the ad in the paper, it was, he said just legal fees, it was legal services. We didn't, he didn't factor in, Scott Richards, and some of that money came out of escrow accounts through different developers, through their projects and whatnot. So, yeah, that's my opinion on it. But I do share the same thing that we possibly should be looking at going to Mille Lacs County for our zoning.
Is there any other open forum? Thank you. If there are no more open forum, we will close the open forum and move to the Clerk-Treasurer Report. Cash control statement.
Thank you, sir. For the cash control and the various funds, the general fund beginning balance was $54,513.98. Receipts of $13,242.81. Disbursements of $42,532.23. And an ending balance of $25,224.56. Road and Bridge, beginning balance of $228,351.87. Receipts of $966.81. Disbursements of $9,304.36 for an ending balance of $220,014.32. That was as of June 30. And I have a note later on that I'll get to that the June tax settlement came from the county after the 30th. So I'll speak to that in a little bit, but that's the summary of the cash control.
Any discussion on the cash control? And the closing out of the money market account?
That's a later item on my agenda. But yeah, we did that.
But that does not reflect in the cash control.
No, because that money's already included in there.
Okay.
Yeah, it wasn't in a separate fund. It was distributed between general and road and bridge. Okay.
The only question I have on this Richard Ryman escrow, how many years have we been holding this?
A long time.
I mean, does the guy need that $4,500 to go towards putting a septic system in, or what?
Yes,
I mean,
quite honestly.
Possibly, I don't know. Situation, it's.
I mean, when I first got on the board, that was at $5,000 and now it's at $4,500. So $500 disappeared. I mean, there are people out there that are having cash flow issues. I mean, I'd like to see that off of our books. I mean, what can we do to get that off of our books? I mean, to help this guy get a septic, I mean, is he trying to get a septic system?
It quite honestly comes down to the cash flow issue. But at the same time, if you read the way our books are written, what he's doing is legal. I mean, he's got a pumper comes out once a month, whenever it's full, and they pump it and they haul it off. You know, it's no different. It's basically a holding tank.
You know, this was all put in place
What happened
when we
was,
were doing our own septic stuff here. Now the county's
Yes.
taking that over. So has the county sign off what he's doing is legit?
it meets all the county standards.
Can we get something from the county in writing saying what he's doing is legit?
We had it, it was presented at several meetings that it's in the handbook that it meets everything.
I believe Mr. Geske was in charge of that, and he said it won't be released until we have an approved septic system. And now there was a recent thing at the county where the
Because it's, if you own over so many acres, you can have a holding tank, because it's no different than what the Amish do essentially.
You don't have to have acreage to have a holding tank. Go look at Mille Lacs Lake, look at all the lakeshore around. You can legally put holding tanks in around the lakeshore.
But that's what it is right now. It's a holding tank. And with that holding tank, it gets pumped, you know, whenever it's full, the guy comes out, they pump it, they haul it off, they do whatever they do with it, so. But no, you know, quite honestly, yeah, it is a cash flow issue. It's,
Would you need to petition the county? Would he need?
Mr. Geske is gonna have to do the release
Why does he have authority over it?
because he was the authority at the time that this was created.
Are we not the authority? Because if we're not the authority, what are we doing here?
Well,
I mean, if the county's signing off,
he's enforcing what was done and what was on the books at that time.
Is he enforcing it, or is he advising the board to enforce it?
I don't think he has the enforcement. You know, we have the enforcement. he can advise us, but he can't enforce nothing in our township. That's what we're elected to do.
That was the way I
Last time we
understood.
talked to him, he said he would not release. Until.
He's not holding the money, we are.
And that was back, kind of the powers that used to be given to Lauren Cohen when he was the zoning administrator and building inspector combination.
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I would recommend that you, Mr. Ryman, petition county for certification and bring it to the board and, but, you know, you probably want to get a legal opinion as to whether or not an employee or a contractor has authority over anything in the township.
What initially happened was the house was all said and done and built. We all remember the old board. Nope, you can't move into it, da, 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 da. They just kept dragging their feet. Nope, we're not gonna give you an occupancy permit. We're not gonna give you the occupancy permit. Because of the after-school activities, we'll call them at the time, with everything, you know. And all of a sudden it's November, the house is perfectly able to be lived in, but there's no septic, so a hole got dug. It's got sensors and everything else. That's what happened with everything. Then they said, yep, you can do this, but we need this much money on the table. That's what happened. To get the occupancy
I
permit.
think I'm going to agree with what Doug said, recommending that we
Petition the county for
petition
certification.
county for certification. If they give the certification, we move to release the escrow.
So Richard needs to petition the county, or the board is gonna petition the county?
Richard,
Property owner will need to do it because it's technically, we're pretty much playing saving account at this point.
No, it's losing account.
Yeah.
What was it, $500 put towards, do you know?
So was it 2 months ago, it took a $200 and some hit. I think we were told that it was through just incurring fees, and I'm guessing it took another one. So there's, it's like I say, when I first got on last March, that was $5,000. So, I mean, I don't want to see the guy's money just dawdle away to nothing. If the county says it's a kosher deal and what he's doing is kosher, who are we to hold the guy's money? That's my opinion.
Can we motion for that effect or let Richard?
I don't know that we need it.
I don't think we need a motion because Richard can do it himself.
there's a motion on the table. There's a motion to approve the cash control statement.
Was there a motion made?
Yep, second, now we're in discussion.
Is there any further discussion on the cash control statement?
I think it was made. Who made the motion?
You made the motion and you seconded it.
Who made the motion?
Gene. To the best of my knowledge.
Oh, yeah, I'll make it.
Aye.
I made the motion. Bill second. Yeah, I did. Okay. Motion has been made and seconded to approve the cash control statement. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote on the cash control statement as presented by Mr. Dahl. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Yeah, June net payroll came down to 4,296.60. You have the details there. In the distribution report.
Any discussion? Not, entertain a motion to accept the June payroll.
So moved.
Motion's been made. Here a second. I'll second that motion. Is there any further discussion on the June payroll?
I got a question on this gross pay report that was printed off. It says 4/1/21 to 6/30/21. I don't believe those numbers to be accurate. No. I apologize, I was a little busy at work this week, but I don't know that I've checked that I've made $385 this month or since April. but it's kind of a different topic on it, but that
Okay,
was,
but that's 2 meetings per month.
which is $110.
Yeah.
And I missed last month's meeting, so that would only be 55, so that'd be $165, not 385.
There we are.
Or is that from the start of the year?
Well, that's, I'm just
So
questioning.
it's a quarterly. That's how it reported out of, I'd have to check on that and see where.
It could be accurate, and like I say, I apologize, I've been busy at work, so I couldn't check, well, not me check, my wife does all that stuff, so. Let's be clear on that.
Yeah,
I was questioning that when I looked at it, so.
I'll have to look at the report, but that's it's pulling it out of the accounting system.
Okay.
You also get paid for planning commission meetings too.
Yeah, you know that.
So that's 2 meetings a month, which would be 110.
It'd be 330 if you had all of them.
Plus
So
we had-
there was an extra meeting too for the town board at one point, right? Did
We
you
had
have a
2.
special meeting?
I got 2 extra meetings.
And like I said, I mean, I was busy at work, so it very well could be accurate. I saw that, I'm like, God, that doesn't look right, but it very well could be.
Yeah, because I think in May we had a,
It's an outrageously high amount.
I know. It's almost as good as the fire department.
Motion has been made and seconded to accept the June payroll. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of approving the June payroll as printed, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion carried. Claims for approval.
Okay, a couple of comments about that. The claims, Kennedy and Graven and the planning company are both for 2 months. So they're catching up a little bit. And then the Mille Lacs County charge on there is for the township share of County Ditch 2. Which we got assessed, what, $345, something like that.
And that was for brush clearing only.
Yeah. But we got,
We have another one
we
coming.
got a statement from the county on that. And then the Minnesota Department of Labor, that's the transfer of permit surcharges from fourth quarter of 2019 and all of 2020. And that's something that I was just behind on. And because they weren't beating me up about it, I wasn't even aware. I kept wondering, where's that supposed to go? Well, Andrea tracked it down and did all the work on that and got that caught up to date. And apparently it's, they don't push too hard on that till it gets really late. So we're basically got a blue ribbon from them, right? For getting that
apparently
done.
there's counties that
then-
are years behind.
First quarter it will be coming due. We're catching up on that. And I've been able to create a spreadsheet that has all of this information in it. So it makes that easier to track. And then we'll keep up with this quarter by quarter. Have a nice instruction sheet on how to go about it now. Also developed by Andrea, which I appreciate very much. So now we know what to do with it, how to handle it, how to do the reports and everything, and we'll be keeping up with that. But that's how that came about. We kept looking at those surcharges and saying, where are they supposed to go anyway? We don't know. But now we know. Also, we received the first half tax settlement from Mille Lacs County, $179,036.39. And I printed the Schedule 1, if you see that there, to include the date that went in there, so you see the effect of that on the balances. So it was distributed to the various funds according to the way our levy was set up. So 52,929 went to the general fund. 95,6 $1,249 to Road and Bridge and $30,457 to fire. How those are distributed. And that's, I thought my intention was to include this in the packet, but I don't think you got that, right?
Yep, I got
Or you did get it? Okay. So I looked at the spare packet and I didn't find it in there. All right, so good. Yeah, so that's how that's distributed according. That's the way it's set up in the levy. And, sorry, what?
Go ahead.
I was gonna say, then I was able to close the money market account and transfer the balance, which was 170,507.61. That's now into the main account. So everything is just in one account now. And the final point, I distributed a resolution to approve payment to Allied Blacktop for crack and chip sealing. Did everybody get a look at that? And I would like to have action on that resolution now.
We will entertain a motion to accept the claims for approval. Or let's do the Allied Blacktop first. We have a resolution in front of us, resolution 2021-18, authorizing payment of $57,974.50 to Allied Blacktop for crack and chip sealing township roads in 2021.
I would move that motion, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Duden made some motion.
Second that.
And Mr. Whitcomb seconds the motion. Is there any further discussion?
Just so that everyone's aware, it'd be part of the road report, but I can discuss it now. We will be, now that this is complete, we can move forward with sending a bill to Baldwin Township and to the city of Princeton for their portions of road that were completed as part of the project.
And part of this was done with cooperation from the city, and they did sweeping again.
They did what? Yeah, exactly. So part of the cooperation is that Allied Blacktop swept it up, Princeton trucked it away, and they kept the aggregate for their future projects. So it saved us from having to pay someone else to haul it away and dispose of it. So,
Motion's been made and seconded to approve resolution 2021-18, authorizing payment to Allied Blacktop. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the resolution 2021-18 to approve payment of $57,974.50 to Allied Blacktop, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion's carried. Now we will entertain a motion to accept the claims for approval. Any questions, comments?
Ziegler Cat, that was for the windshield and the grader, or in the tractor, right?
Yes.
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
And this is not including any gravel yet?
That's the one in there.
There's a pretty backing, but not.
Yeah, half one had one in there for 89.38.50. That just is grading and packing. We're separating that out now, right, between graveling and grading and packing and all that happy.
yeah, we are. They're doing a lot of great graveling this last few weeks. They have been, but it didn't show up on this report because it was done after the fact, after this date.
Okay, we have a motion. We do not have a motion yet for claims for approval. I will make a motion, or I will move that we accept the claims for approval. Is there a second?
I'd second that.
Motion been made and seconded to approve our claims for approval. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. Money market account closed. Just basically a statement to that effect, right?
Yeah,
And the Mille Lacs County tax settlement the same. Those are
right. Yeah,
already covered.
yeah, that action was approved last month. So they worked out with the bank.
We'll move on to zoning administrator's report. Anything?
Mr. Chair, Scott Richards. Just want to let you know that we don't have any action items for you tonight, but just a little update on what the planning commission is doing. On July 12th, the last planning commission meeting, they talked about section 27 and the land use and zoning matters concerning the Scott Muller property. We had Chris Berg from the county there that night, and he kind of filled us in on the septic tank ordinances and so forth, and then some feedlot information. So that was helpful for the planning commission to move forward. Scott Muller will probably look at a preliminary plat submittal, or at least not even the plat submittal, but looking at the rezoning and land use changes. And then we had zoning setback standards and size. They're studying that and working on that. Have a draft going on that. That's looking pretty good, probably ready for public hearing to reduce some of the setbacks and provide accessory building size requirements. And then they're also looking at the sign ordinance, billboards, and some updates to the sign ordinance. So that's what the planning commission is doing or did in July. That's all I have.
Thank you. We'll move on to old business. Approve revised special event permit for Outlaw Grassdrags. This is basically a shuffle paper.
Yeah, they had to extend their liquor window into the previous evening. So it's all been approved, but it's the county does that, I think, their liquor license.
We just have to say that we're okay with them having it liquor on those dates.
What are the dates? Gonna be that Friday and Saturday, or are they gonna be starting the Thursday?
No, it'd be that.
It would be the 27th and 28th of August.
Yeah. It's just, they had to move it. They were already in action, but they had to get it extended into the evening of the first day, because they didn't have that on their original license. They just had one day. That isn't,
I would move to approve the special event permit.
Motion been made to approve special event permit. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve the revised special event permit for Outlaw Grassdrags. Is there any further discussion? If there is none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to approve the special event permit for Outlaw Grassdrags, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion's carried. Approved liquor license for Long Siding Station. And all it is, it's a name change, so I guess they have to go through the formal process.
yeah, I have the license here. They've gotten their license from the county, whatever they need, whatever they need from the state. She's been going through that whole process for a long time to catch up. So this is just for us. And I was suggesting we do this without charging.
I would move the motion to approve the license with no added fees on behalf of the township
For a long siding station.
for Long Siding Station.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to approve liquor license for Long Siding Station, formerly Bar and Grill. Is there any further discussion?
So just so everyone knows, they're not selling liquor right now. They're just doing food. So if you stop by there, it's only food. Gambling, we don't handle, so that was all good, but they're gonna do an actual grand opening and stuff. They're just, with half the state shut down, it's taking almost quadruple the time to get this done.
Can we give them a temporary permit? Does that go through, or is that through the state
For a liquor
liquor
license,
license?
no, they need to go through the state because they don't have an official liquor permit yet.
Okay.
Or liquor license, so they have to get the first official one and then you can temporarily. But they will be doing the car show and stuff like that. They're just a lot to work through with everything halfway closed and stuff.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve liquor license for long-standing stations. Is there any further discussion? If there is none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the approving liquor license for a long-standing station, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion's carried. Next item of business is resolution number 2021-19. In a nutshell, allowing Miller Auction Company, correct name?
Killer Auction Servicing.
Service Inc., okay?
Does that have to be
To,
changed? Is that wrong?
no, it's correct on resolution. Basically allowing Hiller Auction Service Incorporated for the sale by auction of used township vehicles and equipment, specifically the grader, tractor, and implements.
Yes,
There's no specifically,
What's that?
there is no
There's no
specifically.
specifics.
No specifics.
It does not say specific.
Okay.
I'll give you a little insight on why it was decided not to do specific stuff. These are good for a calendar year, so the last resolution that was passed, we specifically called out the Sterling plow truck and the other plow truck, so that bound that resolution. Other townships, if you are going to utilize this type of deal, if you leave them very vague, that way you don't have to do a resolution or retype a resolution every time. I've talked to other townships, usually if they utilize a town board member for that service at their annual meeting or after their election period, they just have one put together and redo it. So that's why we left this one very vague.
Okay.
I'd move the motion for this resolution authorizing a contract with the interested officer pursuant to Minnesota statute section 471.88 subdivision 20.
Motion has been made to accept resolution 2021-19. Is there a second to that motion?
I would second that motion.
And you would ask Mr. Hiller to
I will abstain.
abstain. Motion has been made and seconded to pass resolution number 2021-19, authorizing a contract with an interested officer. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to pass resolution 2021-19, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Do we want roll call?
Roll call, please.
Roll call, Mr. Duden.
Aye.
Mr. Hill, no. Mr. Stokel says aye. Mr. Whitcomb
Aye.
and Mr. Wilhelm,
Aye.
and with Mr. Hiller abstaining. Motion is carried unanimously. Thank you. Next item of business, new business.
I have one for new business. How do we want to handle selling this stuff? You want just Tom and I to put our heads together and go with it, or what do you guys want to do?
I think what you proposed the last time, a special Princeton Township, so it doesn't look like we're just dumping a bunch of stuff just to dump it.
Yep.
A special event.
Yep.
With our stuff. You and I or whoever wants, we can go through figure out what it is, look at the specs on it, get all the detailed information we can.
Specs, repair orders, get all that stuff in line. Like I say, I would do it as an online only auction, have it right here. I'll come up, I'll take photos of the stuff sitting right here.
The only other thing is we are missing the blade yet for the grader, front of the grader.
Yep.
That is at Greg Anderson's house farm. And I had contacted Brian Dahlheimer to pick the blade up and bring it back with our grader, because he just asked, can I just hook it to the grader and bring it? Said it'd be the easiest, that way we don't have to fart around with it. Brian did talk to Greg, and Greg told him that he would charge us with trespassing if we came onto his property and got that blade.
So he's holding township property hostage, is what you're saying?
Essentially. So I don't know if we need to get the Mille Lacs County Sheriff's Department involved, or how we gotta get our own property back.
Let me try resolving that one peacefully and see if we can just make it go away. I'm sure he wants to get that giant chunk of iron out of his way because
It's a big piece of iron.
let me work with trying to resolve that one peacefully and get that taken care of.
No, before the meeting, I was asking Kenny if he knows of any other pieces that may be not on the premises, but
Nope, everything's out there, the wing for the grader, everything that would go along with the grader, along with the spare tire out there is for the grader.
Do we as a board want to spend the money putting all of that stuff on the grader, or do we want to leave it off the grader?
I would just leave it off. Because anybody who's gonna have to transport it or haul it, I mean, I can bring a skid up to load it up if someone's needing all that stuff, but it's gonna be a lot of screwing around.
Then I'll come up with the, pressure washer and help wash stuff and get stuff cleaned up, because I want to have it cleaned up and looking as good as it can, because if we got it cleaned up, it's gonna bring more money.
Yeah, we've got a washer out here, I can take care of that, get the stuff cleaned up. And that, the wing and everything been standing in that corner for years. I mean, basically, it's just a part that'll go along with it. I don't know if the buyer would ever end up putting it on there and use it, but it goes with it.
What condition is the wing in? Does it need to be repainted?
It hasn't been used in years, but it's been sitting inside. It's not rusty. It's just, this is what it is for an 84 cat grader.
I wouldn't spend the money on paint and stuff.
No, that's what it is.
Overhaul.
Put it on there, but it's iron and it belongs with it.
Sometimes you throw a fresh coat of paint on it too, it lowers the value because what's hiding underneath it that you went through the work.
Yeah, you're better off seeing the rust than knowing that there's rust underneath paint.
So.
Clean it up, all pressure wash it, and get the windows and get the inside cleaned out as good as it can be cleaned out without having to add paint to it, but it's just,
So the other thing is, do we want to set a date for that? I mean, are you thinking September, or are you?
Well, we had kind of talked last meeting, you were
August.
talking August, just get out before if.
We're already
rain,
July, that's why.
I would say let's shoot for August, kind of like you had stipulated, especially if we actually get rain and hay actually grows.
Yep.
So let's just do it the month of August. We'll work it out between me, you, and the schedule, and we'll get it taken care of. As I did state earlier, I do think we should spend a little bit of money advertising it. I'm not looking for huge money. I'm thinking probably a $500 advertising budget. Do an ad in the town and country. Keep the people that don't look online happy that they see it in the paper. And with our email updates and our Facebook advertising, Midwest auctions, I think $500 would easily cover advertising it.
I would move the motion for a $500 budget for advertising purposes.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to give a $500 advertising budget.
No, you're taking care of the advertising, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Mhm.
I'm just making sure that's.
If Doug
clear.
wants to do a legal advertisement, he can certainly do it, but we'll do a ad in the Scotsman. And then I've got like I say, our email blast, the Facebook page and all that happy jazz to make sure that's all taken care of, so.
Just making sure that's in the motion that it's for Hiller to do the advertising, not the township. I don't want
And
to.
that'll be billed at cost, so I mean, if it comes in at $421 money on, or well, not me, the company doesn't make money on advertising, it's billed at cost.
I'm the writer here.
Motion has been made and seconded to set a $500 advertising budget for sale of the equipment. Is there any further discussion?
Is that gonna be more than enough?
Yeah, I would say a weekend, because we're not gonna have to advertise it super long. I'd say a weekend ad in town and country, that's gonna be $325, $350, something like that, depending on how extravagant we get with it. Midwest Auctions isn't cheap, and we don't charge anything for the email blast. That's got 19,000 people on it, so, and Facebook advertising is dirt cheap.
Okay. Just wanna bases covered.
Yep.
Any further discussion?
I will abstain from this vote, I think. Probably should.
Motion has been made and seconded to set a $500 advertising budget for selling the equipment. Is there any further discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
We're gonna do roll call on this one too, Gene?
Not necessary.
No, it is a simple motion.
We just
All
know.
in favor, signify by saying aye.
Right?
Opposed, no. Motion's carried. New business.
One last thing.
Oh.
Do we want to do minimums on this stuff or just, I mean, stuff's bringing as much money as it's
Yeah,
going to.
at
If the
this
bubble's
point
gonna
in
pop.
time, I don't think you need minimums.
So, and I would like to hear that in a motion and have it recorded.
I will make the motion that we have no minimums,
No reserve.
no reserve. I made a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion is made and seconded to have no reserve on the equipment. Is there any further discussion? There is no further discussion. We'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye. Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
I abstain.
Okay. Did you also note that on the advertising budget?
Yeah, I got them all.
Okay. Thank you. We'll move on to new business. I got a call today from the county. The county board accepted the county ditch number 2 repair project bid today. They accepted the bid of, the company is Land Pride Construction. I think it's out of Paynesville. Yeah, out of Paynesville. For some reason, they did not accept the low bid from Nodco and Elk River because they did not have
Experience. I think is what it was.
Yeah, they didn't have a letter of recommendation. It's basically the only thing that differed theirs from Land Pride. The bid is $440,000, or $440,988 to be exact. I didn't bring a copy. I got the whole brochure, 173 pages or whatever that they gave me the night of the meeting here. Our township is going to be assessed $14,000 for 2 ditches, 2 culverts. We paid for 342,
345 something.
345 for the land clearing. And now we're going to be assessed 14,000 for 2 ditches or 2 culverts. We have the option of paying it in one lump sum, or paying it over 20 years, making them assess us. Or we could bid that, trying to get a lower bid and have somebody do it for us. And
14,000, or what are they gonna charge us for interest?
3%.
3%. So
I'd say let's get it out for bid then.
I think we save some money on bidding it ourselves and paying it.
Paying the contractor just lump sum once they're done.
Yeah, otherwise the county is just going to assess it.
When do they want to do that project?
It will be done in, I believe it's this fall yet. And then when they will send us the specs, and we will have to bid it as whoever takes the bid would work with them on the days that they're dredging right by those culverts. And that would be the only line item is like, we'd have to have a contractor that would put it in, but I think 14,000 is outrageous for.
That's on a little high.
But they're
The only thing-
24 inch culverts was it? 30 inch?
It was 30 inch, yeah.
I mean, what do you got in material to start with? I mean,
And they're not deep. We're lowering one foot and the other one's like 18 inches.
Yep. But that's with material included, right?
That would be the culvert and.
Yeah, that'd be everything in our right away.
So.
Yeah.
Comparing that to Bogus, they have 2 culverts and I think theirs is 57,000.
But that's county ditch 2. We're on most of ours is county ditch 1 in our township here.
But this is 2.
This is county ditch 2.
It's like Dave purchasing and.
Yep, goes out by Ron.
65th is one
Yeah.
crossing and the other one is just north of Bakius on 100. Right up the road here. This is 65th. In Person's place.
Yeah, they just accepted the bid today. He called me and said the bid was accepted. And that he would have specs for them. So,
May I ask a question?
yes,
If you put it out for bid and the bids come in higher than that, do you still have the option of taking the county's?
We take the lowest qualified bid. That's where with Navco is the cheapest one in there. Most government contracts, when you look at them, it says the lowest qualified bid, well defined qualified, so.
Okay. I'm just wondering if that, but then you would have the option of just taking that one back.
so I'll get back to Chris on that.
Can't lose on that one.
I just thought it seemed like an awful lot of money for 2 culverts. And it's not rebuilding the road or anything, it's just, it's all 2 culverts.
Well, it is rebuilding the road. It's because it's center line culvert, so it's crossing the road. So we'll have to.
Right, but they're both gravel roads.
Yeah, right, yeah,
It's not like we're fixing asphalt.
exactly.
Anyway, this new business came before me today.
Would you like a motion that we pursue an alternate bid for that work?
That sounds good.
All right.
I'd make that motion.
Motion has been made that we advertise the alternate bid for the road county ditch 2 culverts. Is there a second to that motion?
I'd second that. Thomas, since you're the ditch guy now, are you gonna pursue that?
I can pursue the.
Thank you.
And he said he'll be sending me specs and next couple of days. I will get together with you. Is there any further discussion? If anybody's interested in it, you can have a quick read.
172 pages, that'll take me like 3 months.
When I went to the meeting and then after the meeting, I talked to Chris Hotterness, the engineer. And he said, well, here, just have a look. And I said, well, you giving them out to everybody? He said, no. He said, I don't want to hear you at home, so here. So I'm blessed with the engineer's copy. Next item of business. Motion has been made and seconded to advertise alternate bids for county ditch 2. Is that appropriate wording? Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of pursuing alternate bids for the county ditch 2, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion's carried. Next item would be a road report.
Everybody got a copy of the July 20th road report? I think I put it in front of everybody. The first two items Thomas was going to cover. You want to get those?
Yep, so brush cutting, trimming, it's been done. We did take my tractor and mower, hit a couple roads where we could not reach with our brushing, because ours only goes out so far. I got my 9-footer, we got down in the ditch a little farther to kind of clean the shoulders up a bit. Mostly up and down Baptist Church Road, and some on Brickton, some on 45th. I think that was, and I think there's one other road. I can't think of it off the top of my head. There is some stumps, should get taken care of. I don't know if we got to run to stump grinder. I don't know if you have a stump grinder, Ken?
I don't.
No. I know Jake Seidenstricker has put in, Jake's top notch, he put in bids earlier in the year. I don't know if he does any of that or not, but.
I know another guy, Corey Zonner, I'm on the fire department.
Okay.
He does that on the side.
But yeah, I don't know, we should look at doing some stumps. I know there's one on 45th that cut down that big cottonwood a couple of years ago, and I kind of took an excavator and kind of dug it up, but somebody goes in the ditch, that's a big stump to hit. Couple more days of trimming current equipment. I know we're still looking at that handheld brush cutter. Kenny, did you ever get one on order from
No.
Princeton Rental?
I can order one up, but.
Yeah, it's a month out. I mean, everything's on back order so far right
Well,
now.
with the conditions out there, I really just cut and brush at 90 degrees with the dry conditions out there. I wouldn't recommend doing it
Yeah.
right now. I don't want to start the county on fire.
But we do have some areas, we've got brush popping up. It's crazy how fast it grows. I mean, I know the one ditch I mowed down 2 years ago and it's already a shrub again. I don't know if we got to look at spraying some of that. I think it's Central Applicators out of Foley does it, so it'd be relatively close. Also, renting a chipper from Kenny. I mean, we've got this stuff at our disposal, versus dropping everything we got, run to town, essentially waste an hour. If we've got it here at the shop. Kenny does have it, his rates attached in here, and I guess I would look at moving to approve Kenny's rates here. You can't hardly own this stuff for what Kenny's renting it to us for. My only thing is, the only issue I've got with this is if Kenny's gonna rent it, I'm assuming this is $30 per hour for the truck itself.
Yep.
Plus your labor.
Yep.
Okay, that's what I didn't wanna encompass you in the truck, it's $30 an hour. I just wanted to make sure we're compensating you for your time plus your equipment. I'm sorry, I misread it wrong, that's why I just wanted to clarify.
That's the way it reads. Some of the areas I can blow the chips into the ditch, and a lot of areas, if it encroaches on any kind of housing developments, or the people where they mow, I don't want to blow a bunch of chips into the ditch. I've got the chipper attached to the truck anyway, I'll blow it right into the truck, and I've got an outlet for the chips.
This be, this caution, would your chipper be approved by OSHA?
I don't see any reason why it wouldn't be. They're used in a lot of different outfits. It just doesn't have the automatic feed on it, and I'm the only one that's using it. The guys that go out and cut brush, they cut it, and then I come behind and feed it that way and get it cleaned up.
So I would move the motion that we hire Kenny at $30 an hour plus his hourly rate for the dump truck, and $30 an hour for the chipper plus his hourly rate.
The only question I have on that, anything else that we send out for bid, typically we make sure somebody has some sort of a general liability policy.
Well, I can certainly get that. I didn't know if it was being an employee, how that was all played into it, because I'm the only one that's operating the chipper, so.
And I agree wholeheartedly, and your rates are great. I just, if we look the other way on somebody not having a general liability policy,
Oh, I totally agree with that.
so
That's the reason that I presented it this way, because I've been doing a lot of this behind the scenes for the township for the last 15 years. If I gotta go clean something up, I'm using my equipment and I haven't charged really anything for it, but at the rate that we're trying to do this now and go out and cutting the brush and spraying the brush and cleaning it up, I need to have something back to pay for the expenses of it.
oh, I agree wholeheartedly with you, and you shouldn't have been doing it for 15 years for nothing. I'm not against paying you, I just,
And I totally feel if I gotta have a liability insurance done the same as anybody else, I can certainly do that.
I mean, I can run this past Jason. I guess if I look at it as, he's not a contractor. We don't have any liability insurance when we rent from, for instance, in rental. Anytime we rent from a company, we don't, and it's, again, it's just discussion, but, so we would just be renting this equipment from him, not paying him as a contractor because he's an employee.
So then you'd fall under the township liability in that case.
did we have to do anything different for you if the township was gonna rent the equipment? Okay. I'm good.
So I don't think you need to get it, Kenny.
No, because
I'll double check with Jason just to make sure we're covered, but, and just as a point of discussion, we did rent the chipper this last spring. And, if we were able to utilize it the full 8 hours, it would have been $30 an hour, but it's much smaller. It takes longer. You, like you said earlier, Thomas, you gotta go and you pick it up, you lose at least an hour on both, on
pick up and delivery, half hour each way.
So, I mean, and that was, again, that was $30 an hour if you were able to use it the full 30. So this is a really good rate, and it does a much quicker job, and it gets hauled away, and it's.
You're paying for what you use, not
Right.
the whole.
And it's readily available.
Motion has been made. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve Kenny Hench's proposal for wood chipping and hauling at $30 an hour plus the hourly rate. $30 for the chipper. Is there any further discussion?
$30 for the truck also.
It's $30 an hour for the truck, $30 an hour for the chipper plus his hourly rate.
If I didn't say it right, that's thank you. Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion's carried.
Thank you, Kenny.
Yep, thank you.
The other thing is mowing, first round has already been done. Second round, usually we do late October, early November-ish, right before the snow hits. We got to start pre-planning. What are we going to do there? Because if we're planning on throwing the tractor on the auction in August, we got to go through and hit these ditches one more time before the snow, so we don't get the drifting, so we don't get just the buildup of everything. Just makes our plowing easier in the winter. So I guess we need to start looking into that. I know years past, Carl Sanford's done it. I know we've rented a boom mower.
Guys, Tom.
Yeah, what's his name? Over Pavement Township, is it?
Yeah, and he was.
2,600 last year for the whole thing.
He also does bogus.
Yeah.
Does he?
Yeah, he does a lot.
You know, I know a boom mower tractor that's gonna run you 2,500 a week, and we gotta hire a guy to throw it in there. So.
Doesn't Greenbush Township have their tractor and a boom mower?
Yes, it is.
Can't-
So we could probably look at hiring them to do it too. It's another outlet.
Send it out for bid, yeah, absolutely. I know Tom from over in Wynot, he said he's definitely interested in throwing on. Another guy I know said he'd be interested in.
So,
Tom's got one like yours. It's a 9-foot disc mower.
mhm.
One thing I got a question is, it says the first mowing was complete. Where all did we mow? Because nobody from the township other than me mowed the shoulder on 50th Avenue.
What
About a
about
mile of road.
primarily the gravel?
Okay.
Well, we got the maps showing.
Yeah, it's, yeah.
My complaint on that is I know we can't mow until after what, the 1st of
July,
August.
1st of July.
Okay. We gotta watch the shoulders too. I mean, that's where I went out with my personal lawnmower and mowed down the shoulder is the weeds were sticking into 50th Avenue this far.
Yeah,
So
so the first
Sunday
half,
night I went out and knocked that all down. We gotta kind of keep an eye on that. I mean, I know we gotta state rules or whatever that the state and the counties and a lot of people don't follow, but we gotta make sure that that stuff's not overhanging the roads.
the
Actually started before July.
yeah, we did
Oh, yeah.
this because it's starting to get away.
Yeah.
The other thing is too, is the equipment that we had.
Yeah.
That's the biggest hurdle is we don't have the proper. That's why I took my tractor and mower out and went out and winged a bunch out just because we couldn't get to it with what we had.
Not only that,
Everybody thought me and Sherry were fighting on Sunday night. I'm like, no, I'm just sick of walking through the weeds.
well, the other thing with that flail mower, it almost needs to have something to pinch against to work. So if you have to hold it up any more than a foot off the ground, you're just basically hitting it. You're just knocking it and busting it off. It's not really cutting the best. So yeah, it was just, but yeah, I agree with you. But that was the first area that was done. 50th was like one of the first, probably back in June.
So do we need to make a motion to get some bids out then?
Sounds like we got a lot of outlets to choose from.
I'd say I'd make a motion to get a second half mowing done.
Second half mowing bid.
Yeah.
I'll second that motion.
Motion has been made and seconded to give them second half mowing bid. And where would we advertise and the union, whatever it's called now.
Union time, we can just word them off.
Yeah,
A lot of people, you know.
People would call.
Motion has been made and seconded. Is there any discussion? If not, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion to advertise for second mowing bid, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Motion's carried. All right, Thomas, as far as that spray.
Yep.
Like,
I think we should look at it for next year. You know, this year we're kind of, between drought conditions and everything else, it's not growing back, but if we get a good lay down and everything, that's something we could really start.
I know when I was out there utility that they had some kind of a spray when they like take a tree down this size.
Yeah.
And it never greened back again. There was no water sprouts or anything. It's just whatever killed it. And I could call the guy that usually was the applicator to find out what the name of stuff is.
Yeah, even if we did that, then we run into having applicators license, a lot of that other stuff too.
I think this one, yeah, we'll have to look into it. I agree that as we cut it, we spray the area too, because then it won't come back up.
Well, that's what I thought. If we've got two guys out cutting the brush down, if we have a backpack sprayer with the product in it, we spray it at that point. And we're already in the area. We're there. We got the people there. It's kind of one fell swoop to get it taken care of, and then chip the brush afterwards.
I would definitely check on the applicating license.
Okay.
Because I have my commercial applicating and then there's subcategories in that for like seed and
John just volunteered to.
all that, so. Yeah, if we have to have a license and if there's another endorsement I need to get, I can get it and I'd be willing to do it.
I don't remember the product name, but I got it written down somewhere.
Okay. So we.
You want to speak to the brushing saw?
You want me to get one?
Did we have a motion for that?
Steel, is this a steel product?
Yeah,
They're 2 months out.
another month out.
I was just there.
I saw this stuff.
I just went to Princeton.
It's gonna take time to get.
And we don't want to be doing any of this brushing before, it's like Kenny said, it's just too hot. I don't see us
Yeah,
doing
if
any.
he orders it now, that'd be
brushing
plenty
until
early
October.
enough. I would like to see a little moisture before we go out and start doing that again.
I don't recall seeing a motion on that last time we talked about it. Maybe we should just.
About a trimmer?
Yeah.
Yeah, we didn't have a motion on that.
Do we have a motion on that?
Yes.
On a dollar amount?
So you're looking at like a handheld, like a weed whip, but with a saw on the end, or what?
Yeah, it's a weed whip with a saw blade essentially is what it is.
Okay.
It's a lot.
Well, it's considered a clearing saw. It's not quite the same as what you don't put any other attachments on it. It's designed for clearing brush, and it's got the setup that we've got now is about as big as what you can buy out there for just regular, for adding a blade on it. And this is at least twice the cubic inch of it to do. I talked to the guys out at Prairie Restoration, and that's all they use. That's kind of their line of doing stuff, and they've bought several of them from Princeton Rental, and they've had really good luck with them. They've held up well, and they do what they're intended to do.
A couple interesting situations. First one I had was a Ryobi and started up and it was pretty good. The blade is laying on the ground. And I was gonna reach over and pick it up and realize it was still turning about 3,000 RPMs. Then it took off. Made a circle run all the way around me.
It seems like a fair amount of money to spend on something like that, but when you buy it once and you take care of it and you're out there doing it, and it does the job it's intended to do. You're not fighting with something that's really not intended to do that job. So I guess I would think that buy what we need and we'd have it.
So we did not have a motion, so I entertain a motion to purchase the brushing saw.
I would second that motion.
We need to include the cost. We can set up.
They still had a quote from Princeton Rental that they introduced last month. No, I do not have it, but I thought it was about $1,250.
Yeah, I was gonna say it's gonna be about like 15 mark with that, well, we're tax exempt, I guess.
Tax exempt, so.
I'd move the motion with a $1,500 budget.
Second.
Motion been made and seconded to purchase a brush saw, I'm sorry. Is there any, for up $1,500 budget? Is there any further discussion?
What's the official name?
It's just a brush clearing.
Brush saw. And now it says here, should we purchase another? We do not own, the township doesn't own one, do they?
Yeah, we got that, like that.
It's a whole line unit. Economy saw.
But that would not be sufficient for.
No, that's what we've been using, but it's really pushing it to the limit. And it's nice because you can use it for a pole, so it's a combo saw, like Thomas just said, so.
Motion has been made and seconded to purchase a brush saw for up to $1,500. Is there any further discussion? If there is none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. And
I'll finish up with the road report here. I'll fly through it real quick.
Should we time you?
Yep, time me. State aid local road improvement plan, we talked about last month that we were not selected. We are looking at, to find the dollar amounts for 50th Avenue. We'll be getting more information on that. Gravel roads at last month, I mentioned that we were hoping to have it completed by mid-June. We didn't finish it then, but it looks like we should be wrapping it up within probably this week. They're hitting all the roads that we had discussed at the February meeting. Again, crack fill, chip seal, we already approved that resolution. The dollar amounts are shown there, so the city of Princeton would be paying us back approximately $1,631, and Baldwin was about $911. Let's see what else we have here. Oh, at the last month's meeting, I also mentioned about getting borings on, there's about 10 locations throughout the township that are sunken for unknown reasons. And I was just wondering if that's something that we should look at doing. I know we can get, better bids when we get to those sections of road, and if we can get them all done at one time, it's gonna save us on mobility charges for them to come out and do individual one, and then once we have the borings there, it's not like it's gonna change. But
I wonder, in those areas that have sunken, if they use trees to fill,
yeah, a lot of them they did.
and they're rotted away, so it's all sinking.
well, and that's why it'd be nice to have that, because then when the contractors come to bid on it, instead of bidding high because they don't know what they have, we can tell them, hey, this is what we know. We know this is down there, so we're gonna get a better price if we know what's down there versus.
Well, then, and then we aren't gonna be blindsided then either.
Yeah, exactly.
How long are these borings good for? I mean, we're trying to figure out our budget, getting caught up on road maintenance. I mean, if we
Well,
get
the
boring done this year, I mean.
They're good forever. I mean.
Yeah, once the borings are done in that area, they're done.
Yeah, we won't have, like I say, what's down there, down there.
Yeah.
So, I've got all the locations, and we can get an estimate. We can look at the same company that did it from St. Cloud last time. Again, we wouldn't pursue this until I actually got an estimate from them, but if you guys okay with me pursuing discussion with them, Lisa and Todd.
Discussion?
Just, no money spent, just basically a quote from them.
Yeah.
I'll bring it back next month.
Well,
I'll let you know what the dollar amounts figure would be.
So.
Do we need a motion on that?
I don't think so.
We're looking for a motion to discuss, for Bill to discuss that with and contact the contractor.
Yeah.
So moved.
So we are not okaying a boring, we're just approving, looking into it.
Because, if I'm talking with Todd on it, I might charge a little bit, so.
Is there a second to that motion?
Second.
Motion has been made and seconded to approve the discussion going forward with the contractor and Todd Bluth and Bill about looking into a cost for doing borings on approximately 10 locations. They complicated that motion as much as they can. Further discussion.
I appreciate that.
It's in there. It's in there.
Yeah, I'm cool with your wording.
Okay.
Is there any further discussion? If there is no further discussion, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor of the motion, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
And opposed, no. Carried.
Brookton Road has been paved. They finished that up Monday afternoon. Graveling still needs to be completed, and they still need to abandon and fill the culvert that's pulling material in. So.
So Brickton Road or Wickham?
Brickton Road.
Mike's on.
So that's done.
Good thing somebody's not here.
So that's done. Pavement patching, we patched 40th at County Road 102. And we also patched at 50th Avenue, so it was Kenny and I and Steve. At last month's meeting, I mentioned about working with the city on that, using their equipment. It just didn't work for us, for our scheduling. It had nothing to do with the city's issues. It's just, we couldn't make it work with our scheduling conflicts. So we will be doing more on 50th. That's the primary location that we need to be focused on. And I think Kenny went and bought a bunch more.
There's 20 bags in the pickup right now.
Okay.
1,000 pounds of it.
So we're going to pick the hottest day to work on that. Okay. Roadshare agreements, that's the next agenda item. So I apologize for not getting those out a little bit sooner. If you guys want to look at them, I sent them out, I think Monday sometime. Again, it's something that I worked with Jason on. It was building off of some of the agreements that we had in place from like 91 or 93 or something like that, decades ago. Wow. So what's in front of you is some of these maps. So the one on top is the roads that we'll be working with. The far left is Greenbush. So what we have included in there is what Thomas had brought up earlier, is on 65th, that little stub. And the reason we're asking them to do that one is because we're doing the one away on the south end on 110th there, south of 17th. So Greenbush would have 65th Street and 110th just down the road here. And then we have the southern two pieces. And then the next sheet is the Wynette one. So as you guys are reviewing those road agreements, we broke it up into 4 sections. We have 5 miles worth of road. Section A is gravel. That's Wynette. Section B is gravel. That's Wynette. Section C is paved. And D, we included both that full 2 miles to the south. So again, as you review those, that's what that's referring to.
Who's taking care of C and D?
That's part of the discussion. So right now, it's something that we do. But I'm looking into the equity of what's fair. And the way we had talked about was that Wynette was going to have all of A and all of B. We were going to share some costs on C, and then we were going to take D. And the only thing that was really going to be shared on C and D was like an overlay or reclaim and pave. We would be taking care of the chip sealing, crack filling, and those types of things. But those haven't been finalized. And what I was going to do, because words, it gets kind of confusing. If you guys saw this typical section, it's somewhere in it's right there. So what I did is I made this up just for ease. The picture is going to take 1,000 words. So if you look at the top, I'll put the center line of which road it is, the section that's shared, responsible party 1 and responsible party 2. And I'll put a number by each one of the things on which township is responsible for what. So all we really have to do is look at this piece of paper to kind of figure out who's responsible for it. So between now and next month, the idea is that we'll have some sort of equitable solution for each one of the town line agreements. And we'll have any special notes that need to be in there. So the idea is that we'll have the town line agreement, we'll have the map that you're looking at, and this will be attached for each road. So the third page is Baldwin. That's the only section that we have that we share with them. It's a little bit of Afton Road, and it goes into that portion of Afton that's minimum maintenance. And I don't know that we've ever, I guess I can't speak to this for certainty, but I don't know that we've ever received anything from Baldwin on that portion of road. But that's the section that we paved, that we did the chip seal, that we'll be getting $911 for. And then the last section.
Isn't that road gravel? Switch to gravel?
Yeah, it does. So right on that whole corner, the blue, well, you can't see the blue, but.
The dotted, that's all gravel, dotted, isn't it?
Yep, and then most of that is minimum maintenance. We just basically hit it once or twice a year, just so that emergency vehicles can get back in there. Yeah, but we've had to add rock in there for washouts, and we've never as far as I know, shared that cost with Baldwin. And then the last page is Bogus Brook. And really nothing's changing with that agreement that we've had with them for years. It was always the beginning of the calendar year. We just changed it now so that it runs basically from May 1st to May 1st, so that any snow removal just runs through the season, that type of thing. But you guys, I would just encourage you to look at the town line agreements that were sent out to you. And if you have any questions, let me know. But it's actually looking pretty good. And then once we get these established, then I'll work on the agreements with the city. They have a lot of little pieces that kind of cut in and out with our roads. Any questions? So we're gonna have about 20 of these sheets that are gonna be part of this, all these maps and whatnot.
12 minutes, Bill. Them flashcards that your wife and you are going through are paying off.
So the big ones are 5x8s.
I got something to add to new business. I know the grader and the equipment's a real soft spot with residents. And I would like to see whatever dollar amount we get off them go to the roads. I think it would, we would avoid a lot of headache and a lot of complaints, I believe. Plus, I mean, it's the residents' money, and I think it's utilized the best for road maintenance and improvements.
Does that work in the township for as far as selling assets? Can you declare where assets go, or does it all just go back to the general fund?
I think it's gonna probably just go to the general fund.
I know the fire department, the relief association has bought stuff and donated it to the fire department. When it's done, they sell it. It doesn't go back to the relief association. It goes back to the fire department general fund.
But can we as a board dictate where that money should be spent in a motion?
Well, if you do that, not really, because if you look at the general, we're gonna be hiring the services out in its place. You know, and truth be told, the last 3 years, I think we've done a phenomenal job, you know, compared to years past with
Yep.
the maintenance and the upkeep and the timeliness.
And we'll probably push into the annual meeting next year as a statement that here's this much money in the general fund. And
X amount came from.
when we create our levy for next year, we can heavy-side it to the road and bridge.
I think that's what we've been doing the past few years. Remember, we kind of readjusted the percentages that were coming out of general and roads, so we could just keep our general down. Move most of that to the road and bridge.
Because for years we got almost an even split between road and bridge and general fund, which is ridiculous because the MAT, Minnesota Association of Townships, figures it should be about 27% toward governance and we were really heavy on the governance until this year. For example, we're setting our general levy at 60,000, road and bridge at 265,000. Just to kind of equalize things out because some townships have specific. This fund is one that you can't cross.
It's just a lot of, I think local residents, some of them just have a lot of misinformation. And that's why we get the complaints and stuff. There's 2 people I ran into and I was getting a tire fixed and they were all mad that, wasted the township, the residents' money on this equipment and we're not utilizing it. And they just said they feel cheated.
Well, if you get a comment like that, whatever board member thought it was a smart idea to buy a $110,000 tractor when we could have our ditches mowed for $2,600 a year, they should answer that goddamn question, because that tractor will never frickin' pay for itself. That was the dumbest damn thing to do.
Especially when we find out.
I'd second that.
Especially when we find out how inadequate it is.
Well, that's.
Well, not even the adequacy. I mean, just looking at it logistically. I mean, to spend $100+ grand on a piece of equipment when you could have $2,600, he's paying for the fuel, he's paying for the guy's butt sitting in the seat, he's paying for the repairs. why would you even remotely think about purchasing anything?
I think last year we spent $500 on hammers alone on the brush cutter.
Well, and then we've got batteries and stuff for the grader too.
When you're only using something less than 6% of the time that it's available to be used, and that, yeah, that's, so anyway, I agree.
Yeah,
But yeah, I believe.
but it's, we have all
We'll
the,
have to sit on it until after the annual meeting next year. And then we can allocate it. to
Yeah.
the road bridge.
the other thing that bothers me is we have all of this is all open to the residents. They can come in and request stuff. I don't know why they don't. You know what I mean? I mean, none of what we do is hidden. It's all public information.
We look at some of the different townships at last year's elections, and I think one township had 3 voters, and what, they had more than that number of supervisors.
Mhm.
Even their supervisors don't vote. And one had 7 votes. And people just, unless there's something to stir people up, they just don't
Right.
care about local elections. Okay, moving on. Anything else, Bill?
No, thank you.
We will move on to supervisor reports. Don, you already alluded to the first one. Anything else?
No, you can film us in on the airport, the taxi runway.
Tackling bid was accepted.
Do we have a start date on that?
It's August, it's going to be in August, September. I think it's 70-day window, but if we get good weather, it could be 30 days.
I meant to call Junior, but I didn't to get info because I melt during that meeting time.
The taxi lane bid was let at 991,000. The expected bid was 101.5 million, so it came in about 40% below. And the city ends up paying, I think it's gonna be 27,000. The rest of it's federal and state grants. So
Perfect.
So they get a good deal.
It's all good news.
I was going to report that from defense. Okay, anything else, Thomas? Weeds?
Nope.
Weeds taken care of? Did you
It's
cut
county
those?
road, public county.
What are you talking about, Gene?
Wild parsnips.
No, when I called Susan Shaw, and the next day the county was out and cut it. So there must, along with that, there must be some kind of provision. If you're cutting that kind of noxious weed, you're not held to the permitted time to mow. Because like I said, they were out the next day and they mowed from 4 all the way to Lundberg's Corner. So they should be commended on that.
Yeah, you should.
It's something they're chasing that stuff pretty hard, so.
You should be commended for.
Yeah, thank you, Joe.
Yeah.
Okay, annual meeting, just real quick. The motion to increase our wages is not binding. That has to be set by the board, not by the electorate. So we appreciate the sentiment, but just to let you know that it doesn't change going forward.
Well, I think we should also say that when it was voted on, it was unanimous, so the public is behind you guys getting a better pay package.
Another item that Doug and I have discussed, and it's been being prodded from behind a little bit, is the fact that our budget for 2020 and 2021 is kind of out of whack. And actually, Scott's not on anymore, but the fact that the planning company has kind of blown our budget out of the water. I think that maybe we have to scale back on some of the issues that we're addressing, get more in line with what our budget is. We don't have to have 7 items come before the planning commission every month, and there's a break between the legal fees and legal services. But it was about almost 80,000, I believe, from the planning company for 2020. We did not foresee that there were going to be so many building things and so on. And about half or almost half of that cost is going into escrow, but we still are kind of blowing our budget out of whack. And I'm sure we're gonna hear something about it, but then we'll make the statement that we have to probably rein in a little bit on some of our.
Either cut back or find somebody willing to do it cheaper.
Like the
I mean, you
county,
can't really rein in. I mean, if a resident comes in and says, I want to get a variance for my side setback, or I want to get a CUP or an IUP, we
We
can't
have to
say,
do it.
no, sorry, we're only allowing one this month. You know,
So
guys, I really think this board in the township really seriously needs to look at going to the county. I mean, I know 25 years ago, the township looked at wanting to do its own planning because the county didn't have much in the way of rules or regulations. It was the Wild West. They've come an awful long way from that point. And I mean, I don't know any other townships other than Greenbush Township that handle their own zoning. Tell me one, because I've yet to find one. I mean, I don't know if our township, or not our township, but if our county taxes would go up. I mean, I don't know if the county's gonna bill the township residents for that service, but it just, we are spending a huge amount of money on that, and our job as a town board is to maintain our roads.
So we should look into that, see what.
The first step is you gotta call the county commissioners, and you gotta set up a meeting with county commissioners. I've already called up and asked.
And a lot of this expense, as we know, a lot of the ordinances were very ambiguous. So, I mean, people coming in here, you could have made our ordinances go any which way you wanted to. And I know we've been spending a lot of time trying to get these nailed down so that we're actually treating everybody fairly and equally. So, you know, we gotta take that into consideration too, that, you know, we were trying to do,
It's the cost of being 20 years behind.
That is one other great trait of looking at going to the county. It's no longer, who do you know? I mean, the county commissioners are elected throughout the entire county, not just, well, I got a few friends on the planning commission, or I got a few friends on the town board, I can get that pushed through. I mean, you know.
So do we need a motion to look into this?
I honestly don't know what the first step is, if we have to have a public hearing on it or what we have to do on it. I really don't, but I think it's something that should be looked into. Because I think we could save our residents an awful lot of money by doing that. But you guys do have to realize, if we do switch to the county for zoning, we give up control. That is the one thing that is nice with having our own zoning, we get to dictate it. Now, if it goes to the county, they can take the board's advice under, you know, advice, and that's it.
Consideration.
And they get the final say so, and there are a few people that might not like that.
Oh, there'll be a few. But we can't keep spending the money.
But there's also, I mean, there's stuff that we're missing in our zoning. I mean, did you guys know that for feedlot permits, you're supposed to have a conditional use permit? Our zoning has to be as restrictive as the county. The county, you have to have a conditional use permit to get a feedlot permit. Princeton Township does not require that.
and that just goes back to what we were mentioning earlier, that we're missing a lot of things.
Well, the thing is with that, you still have to, if you want to do it, they still have to get county approval. So the rule is you can't be less restrictive.
Correct.
But
we have to be as restrictive, and where we don't require CUP.
We don't even have it.
yeah. And that's where I think
That's
we're
kinda
wrecking
why
up
we
a
lost
lot
our
of Scott, is
stuff.
he's trying to compare Mille Lacs County to our ordinance and then keep up with everybody around. And it's like, okay, some of this could be done on more, more of the commissioners looking at it themselves and going, okay, Scott, we've seen these at these, instead of having Scott look through websites for things that, Google. Oh, sorry. Google.
I just brought it up for consideration because I think our budget is kind of out of whack for for the amount of money we're spending.
But Dan Hiller does make a good point. We can't turn people down. I mean, they are residents of this township. When they come in with an issue that needs to be resolved, we're obligated
But it's
to.
different if it's in the ordinance or if they want to change the ordinance.
Well, not really, I mean, your ordinances aren't cast in stone, that's why you can always apply for a variance. And they go through a variance process.
MAG says if you start applying for variances, you might as well show the record book, the rule book out.
I'm sorry, there's no government agency in this country that has a set in stone perfect ordinance. That's why the variances are there. There's no cast in stone rules for anything, and we can't have that kind of mentality at all. No two situations are the same.
That's when we have ordinances and master plan or the comp plan. And they have many times been in conflict.
Silly question. Could that be a ballot question? And then we move forward from there. I mean,
It's probably a question for our Matt attorney is asking what, and I don't know. When I talked to the county, it sounded like it was just, we had to make the initial contact if we wanted to go to them and.
But if we put it on a ballot question in November to at least, okay, what is the interest amongst the residents?
I will point out that there is not an election in November.
You'd have to wait till March.
It'll have to be March, same time as township election.
But I mean,
I don't know if the process would be different from the septic change. That was simply us, the township turning it over to the county because, well, that was basically dictated by the MPCA because our ordinance was completely inadequate for septic compliance. I was thinking more when I brought this up, more of matters that seem to tickle the fancy of certain people and then get going, such as we get going off on billboards and electronic signs, and we're going to review all that, how we're going to do all that. Well, that doesn't strike me as an urgent sort of thing right now. And also building sizes. We really need to be spending a lot of time determining what size buildings we want to put on property now. That's, when I said I was stirring in the night about it, Gene, that's what I was thinking about, those things that come up. And you think, okay, when a resident comes in with a question, you answer that, but just billboards, why are we worried about that now? That was my response to it. But I'm way out of order to be speaking this. But that's
You're
what
a
I
resident, aren't you?
Yeah, but
You get a voice, you can speak.
those are the sorts of things I was thinking about.
Any supervisor reports?
We did have a fire board meeting on the 6th. As of July 6th, the fire department had responded to 238 calls for the year. The ladder truck was officially used in a township. We had tenders from 5 different departments delivering water. It worked out well. Dale Shelley recommended the fire department apply for a grant, $2,500 grant, and it sounds like we were awarded that. The chief is going to use that to purchase lights and some gear for the new recruits. We hired 4 new guys. As was stated at the annual meeting, the assistant chief did say that we were looking at cutting back on some of the medical calls. Not that we don't want to respond to medical calls, but some of these medical calls, the fire department really can provide no service, and it's, well, you know, going after the budget. So they're looking at trying to figure out what calls does the department have to respond to and which calls can we provide no service and shouldn't be going to. So they're working on doing some training with dispatch to get that taken care of. Phillips Distillery did say they would purchase the foam trailer, or engine one was purchased for the foam capabilities. That truck needs to be replaced, and instead of replacing it with another truck, USDP said they would buy the foam trailer, which was $71,000. And they were also going to buy 4 55-gallon drums. We bought an additional 4 55-gallon drums that came out of the truck and equipment fund. So we have ample foam for that. Other than that, not a heck of a lot else happened on the fair side.
If Distill buys it, would they make it available if there was use?
Yes, if we do need to use it, if there's, you know, large hay bale fire or something along that line, we do have the, you know, we can go in and grab it. They store foam at their facility for us right now. We have a key for that. They have a skid loader or forklift right there if we need to go in and get it. So the distiller stepping up. Sounds like a couple of the gas stations are maybe even gonna kick some money in to go towards that too, to help pay with that.
That was purchased by, I think, Blue Rapids or.
What's that?
That foam truck.
That actually came from Roseville. If I remember right. I think it was Roseville, but it's just that that truck's getting to the age where it just, for the, what it can be used for, it just, we don't have the use for it to keep it up, keep on it. It's cheaper to keep a trailer.
It's nice that they step up.
What is that for a truck? Is it an old cab over 4-door Pierce? Or?
No, it's an old white, crew cab white with an electric over hydraulic brake. So you touch the brake pedal and you go through the windshields. One screw. Rides like a lumber wagon.
It was old when we bought it, but it was something. It was more than we had. Especially considering that with Distilled and the hospital, we had stated at one time that there could be great use for a home truck too. And we had nothing, so it was purchased probably 6 to 8 years ago.
Yeah, at least, yeah.
Anything else? Yeah. Bill?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
Motion made and second to adjourn.
9:27.
All in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carried. Thank you all.
Hey, Joe, next time you see Jordan, tell her I say hi.
I'll do that.
She took great care of Grandma. when she was in the Navy.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
She always kept up with her. She made Grandma's life better than what it was.
Good.
Good. I'm forever grateful for her. That brush saw I did for Grandma.